there's a timeline that's going to happen here. You know, you see the title of the show, welcome whoever's in here. I'm going to go through a timeline that I've seen with a person that I never thought I'd see this from. Other people, yes, but not this particular person. But I also want to start off with this particular clip here. And it's so funny how life works, is that you can be able to see these particular things happen in real time, and it gives you so much context to a lot of things. Cue the sound.
In my private life, and I really didn't like it, and I don't agree with it, but I felt a need to come out and express that and tell the truth so you guys can quit hallucinating and taking it further than what it is. You know, and now you know what it is from my standpoint. Anything else that you hear is totally false if it's not to what I just told you. And that's the honest truth. And that's all I can tell you.
Chloe, who do you think that was?
Michael Jordan?
That was Michael Jordan. That was Michael Jordan back in a time where he addressed the media on things that were very sensitive to his personal life. But certain people will tell you that these particular things never happened. That LeBron James is the only athlete that's so super hypersensitive to people sending personal shots to him. That you just heard that back then, right? So that's a good way to start this show. The erosion of Stephen A. Smith's public persona in my particular way of downloading and depicting it. Let's go ahead and talk about it, shall we? Why are we here? Why are we discussing this tonight? Well, I can tell you for the main reason why we're discussing this tonight is because it all goes back to the GOAT debate. This is why we're here. This is at the base root cause of why we're here. Is because no matter how great somebody is in the sport of basketball, they're always chasing a ghost. So it doesn't matter how great Steph Curry is. It doesn't matter how great Giannis can be. It doesn't matter how great Wemby can be able to become. It doesn't matter how great Kevin Durant has been. It doesn't matter how dominant and how great LeBron James has been over the span of his 22 years, right? You're chasing a ghost. We are in 2025. Jordan hopped on the scene 41 years ago. He retired close to 25 years ago. So close. Remember, he came back in Wizards, right? So just think about that time frame. We haven't seen Jordan play basketball in a quarter of a century, yet he's still the main topic of everybody's conversation when you have greats playing right now in real time. So they're always having to chase a ghost. And when you have pundits that are old enough to be able to live through the Michael Jordan experience, they're always going to have this bar to be set. Well, you'll never be Jordan. How does that help the guys that are coming up now crack that ceiling? How? You're always chasing a ghost. LeBron James is great, but he's great by himself. Doesn't need to be compared to Michael Jordan. He's never made that comparison. He said he wants to be the best ever, right? Everybody else has made that comparison for him. So let's go ahead and just talk about why we're here again. GOAT debate. Who's leading that charge? Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless. You have other people that are constantly pushing this narrative, right? And for 22 years, LeBron James has said nothing. Zero. He's never mentioned Skip Bayless's name in 22 years. he's never mentioned Stephen A. Smith's name in 22 years until recently. The whole Bronny situation, we talked about it, and he said that he wasn't talking about Bronny's play. He was referring to LeBron as a father. You're the one that put Bronny in this situation. It's your issue to have to deal with. Anybody's going to look at that particular thing and say, why are you coming at me? Why are you using my son as a way to get at me? You can always take that as a personal shot. Anybody talks about you as a parent, that's grounds to be able to fight or confront them. It's simple. Chloe, would you agree with that?
1,000%.
Thank you. So that's where we are. Confronted him at the Knicks game. End of the third quarter. Said, keep my son's name out your mouth, blah, blah, blah. We understand what happened. Sat down, and then after that proceeded to go on his show and say, I wasn't going to talk about this, but now he started talking about it and went on this tour de force. He went on everybody's show to talk about this situation, yet you weren't going to talk about it. Okay. Well, LeBron James went to Pat McAfee's show, and great interview. They talked about a myriad of things. They talked about his respect for MJ, talked about him growing up in Akron, talked about, him being in Miami and kind of using the Miami experience as college, right? Like, he grew up in Akron, he played in Akron, he got drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers. He never left Ohio. Miami was the first time that he can be able to branch out like college, to gain that experience, to be able to take that back home at some point, right? So we got a lot from that interview, and he talked about Stephen A. Smith. He talked about Stephen A. Smith being like Taylor Swift and tends to love the attention and love to talk about things and say that he doesn't want to. Then he talked about Brian Windhorst. Said that Brian Windhorst was claimed to be his friend. Like, they don't mess with Brian Windhorst like that. So it was, like I said, it was a myriad of things that he had a discussion about. Well, Stephen A. Smith didn't like what he heard and took to his platform and said, hey, LeBron James is a liar. LeBron James is this and that. And I'm going to tell you right now, yeah, he would have probably won the fight, but if LeBron James would have put hands on me, I'd have swung. So when you hear that, and then when you see what happened, right, that was clipped up by him and his team to clickbait, I would have put hands on him. I would have swung. You didn't see any context before that, yet he goes to his platform and talks about context. So if you're the one that's manning this to be able to push it out, because I can almost guarantee if I'm the content creator, you're the person that's curating the content or pushing it out or editing my clips, I'm telling you what to clear. You're not just putting things out. I have to know what you're putting out before we air it, correct? That's kind of the way it works. So if you didn't know that this was getting pushed out, I'm going to call bullshit on you. So now you're going to take to your platform and now, you didn't see the whole context. No, you put out a clip that people watched. Then they tuned into your show because it was all views and likes and clicks. That's what you wanted. That's why you took to your show the first time after he confronted your ass at the game. Didn't look too tough there. He approached you, said what he said, you sat down, and then you got tough once you got to Gilbert Arenas' podcast. You wasn't tough on your show. You wasn't tough on First Take. You got tough when you was around some other dudes that was putting the battery around your back. You know what that's called? That's jig shit. And what I mean by jig shit, that's jigaboo shit. Stephen A. Smith has went from being a guy that I've respected my entire life. loved his journey, you can be able to see that I might not be able to be an athlete because I might not be good enough, or I might not have worked hard enough, or whatever it was, but that's a lane that I could possibly be able to get into. You saw him be able to walk that path and say, yeah, he did it. That was great. I want to follow that path. And for years, I would want to follow that path. I studied things. I watched things. I watched him, Brian Gumbel. I watched Bob Cott. There's so many different people. Michael Wilbon. So many people that created what you see in front of me. But Stephen A. Smith made it to a point that we never thought possible for anybody in that field. Respect to him. But there's a time where you see this shift in content. There's a part where you see a shift in his approach. Instead of being somebody who's tapped in, and we love to use that term in our culture, being tapped in is very important. We see Joe Buttons, he's very tapped in. Stephen A. Smith used to be tapped in before he started doing this shit. So, takes to his show now, and now he starts to talk about other stuff. For years, again, LeBron never mentioned Stephen A. Smith. He never mentioned Skip Bayless. We've always heard from Stephen A. Smith, I have no issue with Braun. Got no issue with him. I don't know if he has an issue with me. I don't have an issue with him. He's a great father. He's a great philanthropist. He's a great role model, a great family man, all of these things. I just believe that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player I've ever seen, and he's number 2. So maybe that's where the contention comes from, because I can't put him over MJ. That's what he's told us for 20 plus years. Until today, where he goes on First Take and he says, for the first time in 20 plus years, I don't like LeBron, and I never did. So at this point, for the last 20 years, you've been doing what, Claw?
Lying.
And if you're somebody who's supposed to be the forefront of a culture, what does that make you?
A fraud.
So at this point, what type of clout do you have?
None.
That's where I'm at with it. So for the longest, you did this. You put out this particular image. You made sure that you tried to protect yourself. But at the base level of it, at the base level of every single argument you've ever had, every single debate you've ever put on, you don't like LeBron. So anything that you say at this point means what, Claw?
Nothing.
What are we really talking about here?
Nothing.
So let's put this in real time, right? We went from Stephen A. Smith going up with Skip Bayless. They're making millions of dollars off this GOAT debate for 20 years. Skip Bayless made millions of dollars off of LeBron's name. Stephen A. Smith has made millions of dollars off of LeBron's name. You never heard him say anything until now.
What about Shia LaBeouf? Did he make $1 million off this name?
No.
Okay.
So here's where it gets weird for me, though, is that you took to your panel and you had Jigaboo 1, which is Kendrick Perkins, and then you had the Weird White on your show, which is Brian Windhorse. So you go ahead and talk to them about how you feel about LeBron James, and of course, you got Jigaboo Jones and Kendrick Perkins, who's going to yassa boss you to death because they don't want to lose their ESPN job. So of course they're going to agree with you. You know who wasn't there on the show today?
Who?
Shannon Sharp. So he took this day to go in when Shannon Sharpe wasn't there. Everything is calculated by Stephen A. Smith, but it's also calculated by LeBron James. LeBron James did not go to Shannon Sharpe's platform to do this interview. Could have. But whose show did he pull up to? He showed up to Pat McAfee's show. Why? Because Pat McAfee is Stephen A. Smith's equivalent, and some people probably have him higher, right? He took to Pat's show to do this, giving Pat the rub and not Stephen A. Smith. So remember what I said, and because this is going to be how I put this in a bowl going forward. LeBron James has never, ever said Stephen A. Smith's name in 20-something years. He's never mentioned him until now. And it's all because of his son. If he never mentioned or made it personal in regards to his father, his parenting, we would still be in the same boat where he's just going about his business and he's not paying attention to the noise, right? But then it gets weirder. You have Stephen A. Smith now saying that, I never wanted to reveal this, but you didn't show up. I wonder why you didn't show up to Kobe Bryant's memorial. LeBron James was at Kobe Bryant's memorial. He said that in the first hour of First Take and then had to walk it back an hour or two. So you're so emotional that you are confusing that he wasn't there and then proceeded to double down on it. Well, a lot of players weren't there, but we didn't see you. So you have to see him. You just said that he wasn't there. Clown, right? The next instance is that why weren't you at Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame speech after he'd done so much for you and allowed you to win a champ? You know what happened around Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame speech? Bronny had his heart attack. So you want him to leave his kid and his family to go to a Hall of Fame speech when that's his man, right? So because you're no longer tapped in, you don't know what's going on. So you ever hear the phrase, you can't be more outraged than the person you're speaking about if you've never spoken to them. Dwayne Wade is cool. That's his man. So you don't think that him and Wade had a conversation about, probably not going to make it. Don't worry about it, bro, man. I got you. It's all good. Take care of what you got to take care of. But you're more outraged for Dwayne Wade? That's goofy. That's goofy. And if anybody don't see that and put those lines together, then something's wrong with you. He's a goof. And he's a jigaboo. And he's always been that. And I'm going to stand on that word. This is going to be a word that I use this entire segment because I want people to understand that it will be your own people that will do this to you. No one else. You got other people that have other agendas, but it will be this type of shit that happens. Then he said, outside of his crew, LeBron James doesn't have any friends. I'm sorry. What is the definition of a crew? If I got my crew of All Even Podcasts, y'all are my friends, right?
Yeah.
More than likely. Yeah, more than likely.
I mean, yeah, you do buy pizza.
Yeah. I buy my friendship.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that's basically what it is. If he's rolling with his crew of trusted people, those are his friends. He don't need outside sources. What are you talking about outside of his crew? And first off, how does he know this when you're not tapped in? You're not a journalist anymore. You haven't been a journalist in 20 years. You're not inside NBA locker rooms anymore. You don't have that type of access. And the sad part is that you're never going to get it because of where you are. That's fine. So that's my issue. But that's only one issue. Let's go to the next thing. The next thing is that Stephen A. Smith, I think, what's ended up happening to him is that shame is a big thing. When it's like when you get tripped in a schoolyard with your friends and everybody sees it and everybody's reacting.
I remember when that happened to you.
Correct.
And you got mad at me.
And I got mad at you.
And I didn't do it.
And you didn't even do it. It was somebody else.
Yep.
So when you get embarrassed, you have the need to get defensive, to be defensive. He got embarrassed by the culture, saying that he wasn't able to stand up and stand on his square. So because of that, he now feels that he has to do more. He has to try to get his get back. When in real time, he looks crazy. Be mature. Who's the 56-year-old dude? Act your age. Why do you have to be the dude to go to your platform and talk about a dude that does not care about you in real time? The only reason why he's giving you energy is because you brought it there. And he's responding to you. Learn how to take the L and move on. The problem is that he thinks that he's on the same plane as an athlete. Got the bag, cool. ESPN gave you, you're the face of the mouse. Got it. You're not him. You got a $100 million deal from ESPN. LeBron signed a $90 million deal at 18. He's $1 billion up. You will never catch him in regards to status, in regards to respect, in regards to anything like that. Know your place. You are a media personality. Media personalities are never bigger than the athlete. Never. Howard Cosell was never bigger than Muhammad Ali and never tried to be. Bob Costas was never bigger than Michael Jordan and never tried to be. There's a relationship there, but there's the point that I was trying to get to this entire time. There's a relationship. Stephen A. Smith has never been able to get access to LeBron James for 22 years. To this day, Stephen A. Smith still has Michael Jordan as a text buddy. They still go back and forth with text. They're friends, right? They have respect for each other, mutual respect. Stephen A. Smith doesn't have LeBron James's number. He's never been able to get LeBron James on a show to speak to him. He's never had that type of access to the second, however you rank him, greatest player to ever live. And you're the biggest guy in the media space. So think about that dynamic. I'm the biggest guy in this space, and the biggest athlete in the world wants nothing to do with me. He's never mentioned my name in 22 years. You don't think that that's why he doesn't like LeBron? Because for an ego, for somebody who has a maniacal ego, that's an ego hit. Oh, who are you not to give me access? I got access to Michael Jordan. You're not Michael. Okay. You'll never have that type of access to me. Just like Brian Windhorst with LeBron James said, I don't know you like that. Whatever information you get on the back end. You never get it from me. So that's why we're here. And that's why we got that reveal today in regards to Stephen A. Smith saying he doesn't like LeBron. And what have we seen out of Stephen A. Smith over the last few years? When Pat McAfee got his money from ESPN, everybody started to look at Stephen A. Smith. Oh, well, Pat McAfee came in to sign this big deal. What's going on with Stephen A. Smith? And what did he end up doing? His content started to change. He started clipping up a lot more clickbaity things. He would say some extravagant nonsense on First Take to get views and likes. So it drives up the interest to his other show so people can start to see what he has to say. And also, what did he start to do as well? He started going on more right-wing media shows as a political pundit. So for somebody who thinks that he's bigger than the space, and you saw, if you watch Stephen A. Smith's show, he begins his show with this little ad of Chris Cuomo and I can't remember the other guy's name, that they're going to have this tour to speak about American politics and culture and diet. Nobody gives a nobody nobody gives a nobody gives a flying you know what about him and that. But now you're starting to curate that with your sports content. So you see where I'm getting at? He's getting that attention from places that he never got attention before because he's trying to create a different audience. Because he understands that his reach in the sports world is starting to wane. At some point, we all have a time where we're high, and we all have that time where we're not. I saw him on Megyn Kelly's show the other day. I think it was either today. Continues to go on right-wing media shows. So all of this nonsense and performative bullshit that you're doing on First Take, we know what you really want to do. We know what you've changed into. This is why T.O. went to that show that time in 2019 and said, yo, Max is more black than you are. He didn't like that. He didn't like that at all. So you got people that are in the culture that don't look at Stephen A. Smith like that. They don't believe in that anymore. He used to be that guy that's tapped in. He is no longer that guy. And ego really hurts. When your ego is bruised, when you are somebody who's always had the ability to have the final say, you always have that confidence that you'll always have a one-up on somebody. But when somebody has your number, and what is the comparison to him in this right-wing media agenda is that people that are on the right-wing media agenda, they say things, it's rooted in lies, and they don't walk it back. They don't apologize. They don't have to put out a statement because that's the energy, that's the vibe that's been happening. So that's where he is. We recognize that. I've recognized that for years now. I understand that this is not the same Stephen A. Smith that I grew up watching. This is not the same guy that inspired a lot of kids like me growing up to be able to walk that path. This is a dude that took the money and ran with it. And not only took his integrity with it, he actually took his culture card. You're a jigaboo, and you can accept what you are. It's okay if that's what you want to be, but don't try to portray like you're something else because we see right through it. For 20 years, again, you said that you never had a problem with the dude. Now you come out and say that you had a problem with the dude. You had a problem with Kyrie Irving off of something that had nothing to do with you. Still haven't walked that back yet. So when you have real dudes that are in the space that are for the culture and people idolize them and people love them and respect them, and you don't get that type of love anymore, man, that's an ego hit. It's sad. It's really sad when somebody has to try to put themselves on a plane that they don't belong on. And the fact that you would actually try to put it out there that you would have swung, bro. Like, I understand that podcasting is entertainment, but we saw what your hands look like. We saw the video of what your hands look like. And there's no way that I'm going to believe that you're going to put hands on a 6'8" dude, 250 pounds. Although you said that he was going to wash you, it don't matter. But in closing, it's one of those things and one of those problems that we have where we don't understand why it got to this point, but we understand where it comes from. And it goes back to what I said, is that people are so tribalistic with this GOAT shit that they will literally put their reputation on the line for this. You had Skip Bayless chime in just a while ago, talk about, oh, Jordan is never gonna meet you. He's like, you still trying to make money after the media and the culture says go away. You're still trying to get back in off what you've made millions off of. They don't care about you anymore. Stephen A. Smith is starting to get to that point. And at some point, people are going to start to tune out First Take. You know why they're going to start to tune out First Take? Because if you don't believe the storyteller anymore, the story falls flat. The story's great, and you don't believe the person telling you the story doesn't matter. That's what it is. So, thoughts? Claw?
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. 20 years shouldn't change over just overall one interaction. You never liked them, you should have said that. Don't not like them now for clickbait.
Should have kept it a buck.
Right. And then, I mean, I feel a lot of people compare people to Jordan based off of where American culture was at the time. You know what I mean? Like, that's like the pinnacle of the 90s was the pinnacle of American culture. So to live in that space, you know, people are going to make that comparison. But realistically, there is a changing of the guard. And, you know, if you don't give up nobody a shot, you just putting a ceiling on them.
Yeah.
And that's how they kill cows, because they make, you know, the world smaller for them. And then they eat them.
The fact that you put that in there is great.